so the PBS was something defunded to a degree, but the thing I wanted to talk about that everyone's been pointing out is there's this thing called PragerU, which I don't have the full scope of what it is, but they certainly make a lot of like educational videos. And there was this one making the rounds about Christopher Columbus.
Sorry.
Slavery is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? Before you judge, you must ask yourself, what did the culture and society of the time treat as no big deal?
There's even more. There's even a longer version where he goes into just basically they're a big problem, or one of the things they're trying to correct that so many Americans seem to have a problem with is being critical of people from the past. There is like a thing. Can you see, Paige, if there's a 2-minute version? Mm-hmm. We'll play more, but it's. I think what I so struggle with. I guess it makes sense from like a propaganda aspect, but this idea that like you need to respect people who are dead.
Why?
Like, I think like
also
if you
also the people that are so mad about it, like think about how they think of Joe Biden, who was a leader in the present that they're in now. They had no respect for him. So why on God's earth would we respect someone from 400 or 500 years ago that now we're like, oh, actually, I don't like his policies. So what are you talking about? Like, you don't respect the people, a lot of the people leading now. Why on earth would we have to have statues still for Christopher Columbus? Also, he's not even an American.
He's not even an American.
He's an Italian. What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Well,
I can understand their warped brains being like, we have to respect George Washington. He was the first American president. Christopher Columbus was not even fucking Americans, you fucking idiots. Why are you mad about, like, who cares? Poop on his grave. I don't care. Some dumb Italian guy who came over and riddled everyone with diseases and, like, why?
And also, there's I guess there's specific details about like Christopher Columbus was uniquely bad, even in the time that he was. Like even in the time of when people had slaves, there was also like a spectrum there too, and he was also like very bad in his treatment of people. He got in trouble for it back then.
Yeah.
Imagine like whoever got Me Too'd like in 1930s Hollywood, they were even worse than you could imagine.
If a guy with foreign diseases came over from Italy on a boat right now, we would call ICE and have him like put away. What are we? I just don't understand why that matters to American history. Like why an American would be like, you know.
I think it's twofold. I think it's like I think the goals are pretty clear. Like one, the people in power, the people that want America to just be a very certain way, they want to undermine the horrors of slavery, because to really acknowledge it means that you have to consider the consequences and the results of it and how do you rectify it. So they want to just make it be like, listen, everyone had slaves and slavery, it wasn't that bad. And I think that's why if you listen to I forget who the episode was with, Leclerc Andre and I feel like we talked about it on that episode about the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum, where it's like, I went to a progressive school. They don't even touch on the true horrors beat by beat of what slavery was. Like, you know, you understand it as like, at least, you know, when we were raised as like a bad thing, an awful thing, but they don't go into the details of it. But if you go to like a Holocaust memorial, I think part of what they do at those places, they try to give you some more specific details about the torture, the living conditions, so you can really grasp it. So you can really take it in and feel it and go like, oh, you know, I should understand what the world is capable of. I should understand anti-Semitism. Yeah. And then, by the way, then that shit gets weaponized to be like, oh, yeah, you should be able to do whatever you want to Palestinians. Like, that's where it goes. And
Yeah.
then in this realm, not only so I would say even my progressive childhood, they didn't like really paint a picture of
that's
slavery.
why. That's what I'm saying is like, I'm not. This is complicated to talk about because I'm not saying I'm saying that their tactic, if they don't want
Sure.
people talking about it, like the fact of going so hard against it is only going to make people talk about it more and dissect it more. So in some ways you're like, yeah, people are more paying attention because you're doing this thing where as like if it was like a liberal kind of Democrat that we had in the 90s, for instance, the tactic would be like, that's bad. And we're probably not really going to get into the details of it too much.
Yes.
And then like then people don't really like. They're like, oh, okay. Like, but it's by going so hard, people are only going to dig more and only going to like
Of course.
go harder into the thing. So it's only going to. It's just a bizarre tactic if you really don't want to talk about it.
And there's sometimes I go like, I understand why in kindergarten you don't want to be like, hey, here's how they stacked people on slave ships and threw them overboard, and to make sure there was no mutiny, this was from that museum, like put a head on a barrel to be like. And I understand like you don't want to teach that to kindergartners. And my argument, I guess, is then don't teach them like this cute version of anything. I don't understand. It's like you have the Santa Claus era where you just make up shit, and then you have the real era, and to like mix the two things is so vile, and because it lets people get away with not dealing with the consequences. And like PragerU is like, no, let's keep that imaginary version going through high school. Do you have the longer video page?
I do, yes.
Yeah, play some of this more, because
I'm sorry, Mr. Columbus, but I heard at school that you spoiled paradise and you brought slavery and murder to peaceful people.
Leo?
Sorry. It's what I read and heard at school.
Caramba! Those are some accusations. The place I discovered was beautiful, but it wasn't exactly a paradise of civilization, and the native people were far from peaceful.
But you just said the Taino were peaceful.
They pretty much are. But there are other tribes who aren't. The Taino I had met had cuts and scars and bruises all over them. I asked why, and they told me about the Caribs, who are vicious, warring cannibals.
Cannibals? Like they
Eat people, see,
Whoa.
right? Hey, all the things that are bad in the world I come from, jealousy, lying, murder, war, it all exists in the land I just found too. But in Europe, we draw the line at things like eating people and human sacrifice. Some of the native folks from where I just left do those things regularly. So, these people in your time who think it was a peaceful paradise are misinformed. Or lying.
Yeah, but what about slavery? You didn't deny that.
Deny? No. Slavery is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? I don't see the problem.
Well, in our time, we view slavery as being evil and terrible.
Ah, magnifico. That's wonderful. I am glad humanity has reached such a time. But you said you're from 500 years in the future? How can you come here to the 15th century and judge me by your standards from the 21st century? For those in the future to look back and do this is, well, estúpido.
And why are they caring so much about Christopher Columbus's feelings? Like it really feels like watching that Christopher Columbus's ghost reached out and was like, man, this really hurts my feelings. I'm so sad in hell. Like, and please, someone has to do some PR for me. Please, it hurts my feelings. It's so crazy. Of course, they had that little blue-headed freak.
Of course, blue. I was like, of course, blue hair. Blue haired.
I'm like the.
All he was missing was a chai latte in his hand. Actually, I heard this in school.
Also, it's so funny that's the scariest person that they can think of is a child with blue hair to be the voice of this awful thing
It's
that they're
just-
so against.
It's also like the ways that they twist themselves up, like the fact that Christopher Columbus, speaking as this character, went, oh my God, in the future they get rid of slavery.
love that.
That's so wonderful. Because why? Because you knew it just doesn't even make
Doesn't make
sense.
sense.
And then there's just these elements of like, they ate people. Do you understand? I'm like, yeah, and you shipped people in boats and killed people, and like it's the idea of, you know what it is that it makes me think about a lot, like, oh God forbid you talk about it, but it's the way that they go, well, listen, Hamas, they're terrorists. And I'm like, and what's the IDF then? What's the IDF to the people that are being blown up by them?
Having better technology does not make you a better person. Killing people from a computer screen doesn't make you a great kind of like, oh, well, that's at least classy. They're doing it in
that's
a
classy,
dignified way. And like, if that's, it's all humanity.
They eat people. We just
chop their heads off and put it on the head of a
exactly.
boat,
exactly. We have like a ceremony. We have an opening act. But that's and again it's I don't even know. I don't know what you do, because I think in my mind it's like my version of an education system would be like, you talk more if you don't want to like freak out your children with like, just how terrible existence can be. You have to figure out like how to introduce it. But I'm really against this whole idea of like, we got to give like a sweet version of how everything went. Mm-hmm. Who cares if your kindergartner doesn't know that in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue?
I gotta jump in though. They're not teaching any kindergartners about this. It's like truly like barely reading and maybe like counting. You know what I mean? Like, I do think we could. It seeps in maybe fourth grade. We start having more like
fourth grade. But I think again, you have to present like the full narrative of it. But of course, the reason they do it is because, I mean, as you said, like Columbus seems pretty far back in the American narrative. But it's like, we need to set up like the Bible, a pure version of the narrative. So one day when we tell you, hey, now you need to serve the IDF, you go, yes, because this is part of the heroic project since Christopher Columbus, and I am a part of that venture to bring goodness to the world.
Not an American.
And that's what we need to lean into. Again,
if we're going to be all about like patriotism, blah, 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 like, I don't feel anything for that Italian man. He's
stupido. Oh, they got rid of slavery. That is a magnifico. That's what I would have wanted. Yeah. I just wonder. You wonder, like, if I had been shown that as a kid, would I be different? Would I go, yeah, it was different. It was a different time. Yeah, it was a different time. And you can go, listen, if someday the world changes and they judge the way that we behave now and I'm dead, fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
I'm
That's
dead.
Fine. If someday
archaeologists are going to look at this clip, and there's several things in here that probably weren't good, and they'll be like, these people were monsters.
And
I'll be probably right. We were under, we didn't have enough of a outside of our bodies to know.
And we don't need to like sit here. It's more just like, who cares? By the way, who cares either way how you feel about this old dead thing? I also don't go around all day and go like, Christopher Columbus. There's enough bad people in modern time. I just look back and I go, that's done and that happened. You don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't need to feel anything either way. I don't need to go, well, it was more complicated back then. I don't even need to have a moral judgment of back then. What you can do is go, you can see how the treatment of people in certain ways affected circumstances now, and we need to like work to continue to improve the world. But the whole point of that video is they were saying they made the world better. That's kind of the premise. Look, it was different times. We should go. They were doing their best and things got better. And it's like, sure, and now we need to continue to make things better. But the idea is like, we shouldn't judge them now, back then, and we shouldn't judge ourselves now. Things just are what they are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you're like, then how did that progress happen if no one was judging it and saying it was weird? How did that happen? How did the thing that you are applauding, that you're saying, oh, that's good that it changed, how did that happen if we were never questioning then and we're not supposed to be questioning now? What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But the other thing is, like, them being mad about Christopher Columbus. There was an episode of The Sopranos from, like, the year 2000 all about this, like... That and it's a whole thing of like these dumb Italian guys in the mob being like, you know, sorry I'm going so hard against your people this episode. I guess I don't mean it against actual Italians. I'm just like, you know, confused.
No, I'm telling you, the thing that I took away from Europe is that we need. Listen, we're never getting rid of racism. We're never getting rid of it. I think we need more amongst different kinds of white people. We need to kind of separate the idea that all the whites were in it together. No, fucking Italians,
something
fucking
very funny,
Irish,
that whole episode,
fucking
these
Scottish.
guys, these mobsters, all they care about is the heritage of Christopher Columbus, and they're gonna go to like a protest and show these Native Americans what is what, and it's like so funny that you're like 25 years later, it's like people are still mad about this, like in the
It was
dumbest
so
way.
because my dad would try to talk about like the stereotypes Italians have to face as being part of the mob, and it was just so transparently him trying to find an identity.
Yeah,
and it's okay. Here's the last thing I want to say before we cut off this public, and you got to join the Patreon to get the rest of our more personal lives. Is Twitter has had this thing, and again, it's like it starts as a real thing, and it started with Sydney Sweeney, who my sister said she's going to fine us $100 every time we talk about her on the podcast.
Okay.
But it starts with this, and then all the bot accounts start just propelling it. But they've basically been sharing all these sorority videos of it's like sororities dancing or whatever, and they obviously pick the better looking ones to be the front of the sorority to do the dance, and then being like, the sorority girls, they're celebrating America, and liberals are furious. And I'm like, it's this attempt to essentially rebrand like women dancing in a sexual manner as like that's conservatives, that's conservative values, and I'm like, you fucking. Most of your voter base is a bunch of religious fucking freaks.
Who choreographed those dances? You think some dumb white conservative choreographed that? I got news for you.
They should do that. They should pan.
You think
they should flip the camera around and should flip the camera around. There's a gay guy in the full cheerleader, just like fully being like, no, like snap it like this.
Yeah.
That's of course.
Yeah.
That's why Trump doing the Kennedy Center is crazy.
You think someone who's never seen a play choreographed that? No.
Trump's favorite musical is Cats? Well, guess what? All the cats are gay.
Yeah. Every single cat.
Every single cat. That's a great point. So that's where America's at right now. And I don't know. I don't. There's part of me that just goes like, even the conservative mindset led by Trump can't help but like somehow re-dip back into the culture that they took it all from. Like there is kind of an inevitability where like the vision that Trump supporters might want America to be, some kind of like heteronormative thing, like that's not what drives that guy. He wants to go to the Kennedy Center honors. He wants to put cats on. He wants to perform. Like it can't help but go back into the world that it's trying to push away from. And my hope is that that this all ends with more gay rights.
Yeah. At
the end of the day, it ends with the first gay president being a Republican. Truly, that would be the America we deserve in multiple ways.
Yeah.
A gay woman president who's a
gay lesbian,
hardline conservative.
You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.